We're so glad you can join us for our Taiji Qigong 18 forms today. This program is generously sponsored by the library trustees. Before we start our program, I would like to read a brief disclaimer. Participation in this online Tai Chi and Qigong program, while generally considered safe, could result in injury. Not all the material presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for appropriate medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. Program creators, teachers, producers, and hosts assume no responsibility for injuries resulting from the use of this material. Without any further delay, please welcome our instructor, Anson Rathbone.
Good morning. This is our class number 6 in our Taiji Qigong 18 forms class.
Morning.
So we'll start as we have with previous classes with some preparatory movements, warm-ups. So if you could balance on one leg, rotating the other leg from the hip. Maybe 10, 12 times in each direction. And 10, 12 times in the other direction. And 3 loose kicks, switch legs. And back the other way. And 3 loose kicks. Okay, so put your feet right up close together. Bend over. Press your knees gently back. Bend the knees. And turn a small circle over your feet. Press the knees back. Bend the knees. Turn a small circle. Stretch out the backs of the knees once more, bend them, roll up through the spine. Tap the heels 3 times. Okay, moving up to the waist. Circle the hips. So notice how the upper body goes counter to the hips. So if the hips are going to the left, the upper body goes to the right. Okay, pause for a second and go the other way. So if you have any questions about the details of these exercises, you can look back at some of the previous videos. I go into a little more detail about these preparatory movements before we do the Taiji Qigong. So you can look at those, or you can, I believe Rhonda has put up an email address in the chat section of your Zoom. So you can send an email to her, ask the question, she'll forward them on to me. Okay, so continuing. So arch to the front and arch to the back. So notice when I arch to the front, my weight moves to my heels. When I arch to the back, the weight moves through the front of my foot. Doesn't have to be a big arching that you're doing, just enough to kind of flex and stretch the spine. Okay, so next we'll do the quad squat that we had discussed before. So you can actually put the edge of your hand into the inguinal crease, and you can feel that deepen a little bit as you bend from the hip. Keep the knees in the same place over the feet, and then stand up out of that. Notice when I bend that my weight tends to move to the backs of my feet. When I stand up, the weight moves to the front of the foot. Doesn't need to be a big shift in the foot, but just you may notice a little pressure change. And keeping your feet parallel, lifting from the top of the head. You want to turn around the central axis like a pole. It goes down through the top of the head, through the bottom of the torso into the ground. Keeping the nose and the navel in one line. Try to get a sense of that axis. So this axis turning we use later in the set, as you may know. Okay, step out a little wider. And shifting side to side, so a lateral shift. Keeping the hips level, keeping the head level, so we're not rising up and sinking as we shift. Keep level. Adjust your feet if you need to so that it's comfortable. So now we add the axis turn to this. So there's nothing magical about these particular preparatory movements. I just picked ones that I thought were good, that I like to do, and that also maybe worked some skills that we're going to need when we're actually doing the Taiji Qigong set. So you could leave them out if you wanted. Or other warm-ups that you could do is before you do your Taiji Qigong set, you could go take a 5-10 minute walk just to get the blood circulating, the arms and legs moving. That will help to circulate the blood and then other fluids in the body and get you ready, get the breath moving. Okay, so moving up to the shoulders. So put your mind in your shoulder blades for these next ones. So pick the shoulder blades up and then lower them down. Try to make a real smooth, buttery smooth kind of movement with this. You might notice that there's a little bit of jumpiness. Just put your mind in those shoulder blades and try to get them to relax, and the muscles around them, get them to relax. These are nice to do up against a wall so you can feel, you'll get some feedback as to how the shoulder blades are moving. Okay, so for the next one, the shoulder blades are going to move apart and come together. And that kind of lets the arms, which are hanging down, lets them move in kind of an arc, kind of from the sides of the hip around to the front and then back. It's a small movement. You're staying within your 70%. You want to really try to move it slowly and continuously, smoothly. Here's one I don't think I'd introduced. So the shoulder blades are going to be moving like this on the back. So they'll go up as they come a little bit near the spine, and then they'll move apart as they go down. So from the front, that would look kind of like this. I'm not sure how much you can see, but I'm circling this way. I'll turn so maybe you can see. So we can also circle this way. So I'm making the movement a little bigger. So we can move the shoulder blades up the back, across the top, down the front. Make the movement small, but again, you're looking for that real smooth movement. If you feel tightness or a little twinging or something, make the movement a little bit smaller. You know, by relaxing these muscles and moving them around, it helps to open the circulation in those areas so that the muscles which may be used to being stuck to your ribs can begin to feel lubricated and comfortable. So we can go the other way, up the front, across the top, down the back. If we make too big a movement, remember this tends to engage a lot of muscles in the neck and actually make them tighter. So keep the movement smaller. And as these muscles around the shoulder blades begin to relax, it will also have an effect on the shoulder joint, on the neck, the arms. So these are really nice to do. So here, putting your mind in the elbow, try it like this first. So from here, with the shoulders relaxed, the arms are upright, you're going to move the elbow forward by causing the scapula, the shoulder blade, to move. Keep the shoulder down and relaxed. It may be a smaller movement than you might like, but don't try to force it. Keep it relaxed and easy. Now I'm going to extend the hands, but I'm going to keep that same movement going. So my mind is really more in my elbows. I'm working to move the elbows forward and move them back. And that helps me to mobilize the shoulder blades. We can do the same thing to the sides. This might be a really small movement and will depend a lot on how much you're able to relax all the other muscles up in the shoulder girdle. But see if you can lift your arms up to the side and push the elbow straight out to the side. And then bring it in a little bit, move it out. So even if it moves at ½ an inch, but you can feel it, that's good. An inch is good. You don't need to strain to get the benefit from this. In fact, you'll get more benefit if you're not straining. So now we can do the same thing. We can kind of extend our hands and push the fingertips out to the sides from the elbow. And that helps to get the scapula to move apart and then come back towards the spine. Move away from the spine, move towards the spine. Okay. Shake the arms, you can bounce a little in the knees. So we can do some jellyfish hands. So you can imagine a jellyfish moving. So what I'm doing is sort of by closing the palm and the fingers in towards the center of the palm and then opening that, you can kind of get a way to work the hands. Try to get the hands to relax more. They're more and more relaxed. And then you can give them a little shake. Okay, so those are our warm-ups for today. One other thing, let's do some standing. So lifting from the top of the head. Feel as though you have a string tied to that top of the head, tuck the chin. See how that lets the neck kind of extend up towards the top of the head. See how I'm extending that up. And then let everything else drop down. This extension is done very relaxed, very soft. It's almost as though your head is a helium balloon and it's just gently floating up. I don't want to have that feeling. So there's a little bit of a bend in what we call the quad, the sanguinal crease area. The tailbone sinks down to towards the heels a little bit. Just gently, you're not trying to force anything. Slight bend in the knees, and the weight centered on the foot front to back. You can rock back and forth to try and feel that. And see how much you can relax. The shoulders relax down, elbows dropping, fingers. Almost feel as though all the joints are opening, like down through your neck, through the thoracic vertebrae, down into the lumbar vertebrae. Feel as though as you hang from that string tied to the top of the head, all the joints can open and the space between the joints can open. So just stand like this for a few minutes. When you get this right, you might notice that the breath can start to relax and move more gently and softly in and out. Take the tip of your tongue and touch it on the roof of your mouth, maybe about an inch behind the tooth gum line. Kind of like where if you say la, or any word with an L, where the tongue touches the palate when you say L, kind of in that area. That helps to complete a circuit that flows in the body. So this kind of standing can be a whole practice in itself. Some people will not do other kinds of Qigong or even Taiji. They'll just do the standing. Or a lot of other martial artists and health arts people will use the standing as a preparation for their Tai Chi or their Taiji Qigong or other things. Becomes kind of a meditation. So it trains you to feel a kind of nourishing stillness and to be able to relax the body while remaining upright and active. Okay, so we can finish that. So I wanted to review the postures we did last week. I introduced So the first of these, so now we're transitioning over to the Taiji Qigong 18 forms part of the class. So the first one is called Scooping the Sea. So just to back up a little bit, so we've had this turn and push palms movement that we did. And then we did cloud hands before that. So we'll go through and review all of these momentarily, but I did want to review the postures we had done already a little bit. The postures we did last week, I mean. So we did the cloud hands. Then we, and this is new from last week, so we turn this foot out to say 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and then you step forward with the other foot. So we lean forward, shift the weight a little bit, lean forward, the hands scoop down, come up and go down the sides. So exhale as we lean forward, inhale as we come up. This is called Scooping the Sea. So when we're up in this position, we want to have our torso upright. We're not leaning back, but you want to have the torso upright. So you want to feel as though you're almost sitting like on a stool in the back. That'll put some pressure on this back thigh. So you can stand a little higher if that feels uncomfortable. But gradually, over time, this will strengthen the thigh muscles. So when you're leaning forward, you're also putting weight onto the thigh. So the next posture we introduced last week was called pushing waves. So with this one, when I come back, I'm still using this bow and arrow stance. So the bow and arrow stance, one foot turns out to the side, the other foot comes forward. So one leg is bent, the other is somewhat straight, not perfectly straight, but sort of straight. So when you shift forward, this leg is bent and this leg is straight. So after we've done the scooping the sea, we pull the toe up as we come back and we do the pushing waves and the heel comes up in the back. So it's kind of like you're pushing a swing. So there may be some tendency to follow the hands out and lean forward like that. Try to avoid that. So when you come forward, when you shift forward, you want to stand up on this front leg. So if I do this without the arms, so I'm actually shifting my weight really into this front foot as much as you can comfortably. And you want to stand up into that. So the hands, they arc down. Keep them very relaxed. When you shift forward, they arc up and go out a little bit. So the third posture we introduced last week was called spreading wings. So it's kind of the opposite of this pushing waves movement. The hands come back, open out to the sides when you go forward. So inhale as you come back, exhale out to the front. So notice I'm still, when I shift back, I bring the toes up. When I shift forward, I lift the heel in the back. Okay, so let's do a quick review of all the postures we've done up to this point. So I'll do these a little quicker than you might normally do them. But Um, Pretty much most of them will be 6 times each. So the first one, and notice a lot of the postures, I'll do this quad squat to kind of power the movement. I think I talked about that a little bit before. So I squat down. It doesn't have to be a big squat, but a little bit of a squat, and then you stand up into the movement. So when you squat down, your weight shifts back to the heel. When you stand up, the weight comes forward towards the ball of the foot. So that can be kind of a small movement. Okay, so let's start. So we've done our standing. It's always good to stand a little bit in the beginning. So we squat a little bit. Inhale, the hands come up, and exhale down. Next, we have broadening the chest. Inhale, inhale, and exhale. Continue the breathing. Then playing with rainbows, hands come up over the head, open to one side, open to the other. So inhale to one side, exhale to the other. Hands open to the side, and we do circling hands. So this is kind of the movement that we do with the new posture that I just introduced called scooping the C, except the bottom part of the body is different. Repulse monkey, hand drops down, comes up over the shoulder, and goes straight out. So inhale as the hand comes back, exhale out to the front. So this has the axis turn in it. Hands come down, and this is rowing a boat. Do one more. Stand up, and then we're lifting a ball. And next posture, carry the moon. And this transitions to turn and push. Again, we're using the axis turn here. Then we go into cloud hands. So here we're using the lateral shift and the axis turn together. So this is the postures that we introduced last week. So we do the bow and arrow stance, and we're scooping the C. Moving back so you can be sure to see my feet. And from here, we transition into pushing waves. Now, pushing waves, we do 12 times. All the other postures we've introduced prior to this are done 6 times. And we transition into spreading wings. And this is also 12 times. If doing it all on one side feels uncomfortable, you can switch in the middle. So I can switch here. This is 6, I think, so I can switch. So you just want to make sure if you do switch the legs that you kind of maintain the flow as best you can. Once the body's moving for the Taiji Qigong, it's good to kind of keep the movements continuous and have them blend one into the next if you can. Okay, so that brings us up to the postures for this week. So the first posture is called punching, and it's really just that. So you're standing a good stance, knees a little bent, a little bend in the quad, the torso is upright, and from here the fists are at waist level, kind of resting on the hip bones in the front. So one hand will punch out, and as it punches out, it sort of screws. So it starts out with the palm up, and it screws out. So when you finish, it's palm down. So the elbow should be a little bent. The arm is relaxed, comfortable. The whole thing is done sort of comfortable and relaxed. So the next one screws out. You don't even need to make the fist tight, just a loose fist is best. So exhale as the hand goes out, and inhale as it comes back in. So this is 6 times on each side. So the next one after punching is called flying goose. So for this one, you start with a little bit of a quad squat, and you stand up and actually raise up onto the balls of your feet if you can. You don't have to lift very high if that's an issue. Some people their balance might become a little off if they go up on the balls of their feet or until you're used to it. So be careful. So you can just raise the heels a quarter inch even or less. And you just shift the weight to the front of the foot if that's what you need to do. So the bottom part of the body is doing this. And again, you don't have to make the quad squat too deep. That will put some pressure on the thighs and on the knees. So the hands will come up, circle up on the sides, come up to about the center of the palm is maybe just over the top of the head. If that's comfortable, if there's issues with the shoulders, even if it comes up to ear level or shoulder level, that's fine. If you can, keep the shoulder relaxed and down as the hands come up. So down, exhale, inhale as the hands come up, exhale, inhale. So it's called flying goose. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So let's work with the 3 bow and arrow stances. So the first one was scooping the C. And we transition into pushing waves. So I won't do all 12 of these, maybe just 4. And we transition into spreading wings, and we'll just do 4 of those. And we transition right into the punching. So the elbow, when the fist is all out, the elbow should be down. For a lot of people, some things will need to relax in the shoulder to enable that to happen. So one way that'll help that is to not extend this all the way. Keep a little bend in the elbow. So 1, 1, 2, 2. And then we transition into the flying goose. Okay. And So as we have been doing, even if we're not doing a complete set, we have another 2 postures to learn. We'll do those next week. So we finish with the last posture, which is the lift and press palms. So inhale and exhale. And then we stand for a moment afterwards, allowing everything to settle down. And we can put our hands over the abdomen just below the navel. And we can feel like any extra energy that we've generated from our practice, we can begin to gently draw back into this area in our abdomen. This area is called Dantian, which means the field of elixir. It's an important energy center in Qigong and Chinese medicine. Okay. So we had been developing kind of a separate thread having to do with the breathing. And I wanted to continue that. The breathing, like the standing, can be done as separate practices. Actually, while you're standing, you can do the breathing exercises. It's just probably a lot of people will find it easier to do the breathing sitting in the beginning, or you could do it lying down as well. Points you want to concentrate on are similar to the standing, lifting from the top of the head, keeping the spine erect, basically, gently and comfortably erect. The chest sinks and settles. So you almost want to feel as though it's dropping down into the abdomen. So what we had been talking about is using the breath as a means to guide your awareness in and out of your body. We're not trying to change the breath or do anything with it. So we've just been following the inhale and then the exhale, noticing it going in the nostrils and then out of the nostrils. And then gradually working our way back into the body. So something we introduced last week, which you can do this any time of day, really, is to make your breathing continuous. So kind of connect that space between inhale and exhale. So you want to feel as though when you're done inhaling, it kind of just naturally transitions into exhale. Let's try that for a few minutes. And you can work with following the breath in and out. So if you've been following this and doing it during the week, you maybe have already gotten so you can lead the breath. Have the breath lead your awareness, I should say, it into your chest and then out. So you can continue that, but try connecting the ends of the breath, the inhale and exhale, try connecting them together. So spend a couple of minutes with that. So if it helps, you can use your hand as you're inhaling. You can kind of trace a circle in the air. So inhale goes right into exhale. So, do what you can to have your hand conform to the movements of your breath without changing your breath, really. The only thing you're making maybe a slight change is to connect the, uh, the exhale to the inhale and the inhale to the exhale. So the other thing that you can do is to put your hands on your belly. And as you're breathing, notice the movements that your belly is making. And maybe by this time, you can lead as you inhale, follow the breath, allow the breath to lead your awareness into the belly and then out of the belly. So you can feel the movement of the belly with the breathing. If you're noticing any tension or discomfort, it's probably because there's some tension in your body, or you may be trying to force the breath in some way or another. So you can use that as a guideline to help you really relax the breathing. And you may notice just from the little bit of time that we've spent that as you're paying attention to the breath, feeling the movement in the abdomen, and relaxing with that, you may already find the breath is starting to slow down and maybe get deeper. So this is something that you can practice during the week. Of course, practice what you're learning about the Taiji Qigong 18 forms. You could use the videos that have been uploaded to help you with that. Or if you have questions, you can send Rhonda an email to the address that she's put in the chat. Okay, so it's been nice to have you here practicing with you. I hope you're getting a lot out of this. It's a wonderful set, wonderful exercise. And at some point, you'll get so that you know this well enough, you don't need to consult the videos each time. And that would be a goal in a way. You can always go back and check them again, but it's nice if you can get so that you can practice without consulting the videos. You can even try it, just practice what you remember. And if it's a nice day, practice outside. That's going to be all for today. So we'll see you next week. And take care. Be well.